We'll start the meeting. Member Vander will do the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Member Lewis. Okay.
Let's all rise for a moment of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next order of business will be the reading of the consent agenda.
No, the roll call.
Oh, the roll call. I'm sorry. I didn't have it. Okay.
Member Odom?
Present.
Member Lewis?
Present.
Member Mirza?
Here.
Member Bandor?
Present.
Member Mann? Absent. Member Stewart?
Present.
And Member Schropa?
Present.
Quorum is met.
Okay, thank you. I do apologize. Now we'll have the reading of the consent agenda.
After we swear in the witnesses.
Okay, I do not have it.
Oh, here.
That's why I'm having a problem here.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Okay.
I do apologize. Okay, can we have a swearing of the witnesses?
Please stand and raise your right hand if you're going to speak tonight.
Sir, are you going to be speaking?
I said, please stand and raise your right hand if you're going to be speaking tonight. Do you and each of you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to present shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, thank you. Now the consent
Okay.
agenda.
Good to go.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and board members. I'm Doug Gaines, Assistant Director of Support Services. We have two cases that are in compliance as 2020-01054 and 2020-01965. We have none for continuance.
Great. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Motion to accept consent agenda?
Second.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. The first case to come before the board is case number 2020-02028. And we do have someone here for the respondent. Okay.
Bob Seegers, Code Enforcement Officer, City of Ocoee. Reference City of Ocoee case number 2020-02028. The location of the violation is 2668 Mangosteen Lane, Ocoee, Florida. It's a citizen complaint and an occupied resident. On August 11th, I observed one Ford E350 parked in the front driveway, and I got exhibits A through D. That's the vehicle itself. That's just the nomenclature of carrying capacity. At the time, it had a current tag, and getting a little ahead of myself, the property was posted. On August 28th, a notice of code violation was issued and mailed to the property owners as identified by Orange County tax records as Wesley and Mirtha Atkins. The notice was for violation of code number LDC 6-4H sub 6 sub B. And that code states off-street parking requirements. Not more than 2 recreational vehicles Any such vehicle shall not be parked or stored for more than 48 hours unless it is located behind the front yard building line and screened with a 6-foot-high opaque fence with gate. On September 15th, I re-inspected the property and observed non-compliance. The following day, on the 16th, a statement of violations, notice of hearing, and proof of service were sent, certified and regular mail, to the property owners by the board clerk. On October 13th, the property was posted, and a second posting was placed inside the lobby at City Hall with 24-hour public access. On today's date, the 27th of October, the property was re-inspected and observed to be in non-compliance. The city is requesting a compliance time of November 6th, 2020, followed by a fine of $50 per day thereafter if found non-compliant.
Okay.
Officer, means I'm a little puzzled. You said the expiry on the tag is August 2020, right?
The tag was current when I looked at it.
Okay, and you issued a notice of violation in August, so how is it?
It has nothing to do with the tag, forget the tag. It's just
Coincidence.
additional information.
So
You know,
so
nothing to do
what
with
are
the
you,
tag.
what are you,
Well, I read the code, but I could read it again.
can you please?
Sure. It's Land Development Code 6-4, and it says off-street parking requirements, no more than 2. He's only got 1, so that's not a problem. Recreational vehicles. The problem is where it's located, in the front driveway. Any such vehicle shall not be parked or stored for more than 48 hours unless it is located behind the front yard building line, the setback, and screened with a 6-foot-high opaque fence and gate. So the violation is the location of the vehicle. If it were in the backyard, it would be all right.
But, okay, that you made a point, but $50 is a little too high for me. Okay.
So does the resident, the respondent, do they have access to their backyard?
You know, I got a problem hearing too. What?
I was just wondering, do they have access to the backyard?
Yeah, you know, it's a corner lot, so it seems to me it could be arranged with you would be able to put up a fence if one's not already there, and
Madam Chair?
be able to go in and out through that with the gate.
Madam Chair?
And the resident is here.
Yeah, just remind them
Yes,
here.
yes, okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a
Just-
motion.
No,
We have to hear from
okay.
resident.
Sorry?
You want to come?
Okay, yes,
Oh,
Mr.
sorry,
Atkins,
over there.
Okay.
if you would like to come. No, over here. Oh, okay.
We're just saying, sorry.
Oh, he was over there.
Oh, yeah.
My bad.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
state your
Yeah,
name
can
and
you-
your
can
address,
you-
please.
Huh?
State your name and your address, please.
It's not appropriate to take this off, is it? Down. My name is Wesley Akins. My address is 2668 Mangostine Lane, Ocoee, Florida, 34761.
Now, if you just want to respond and tell your side of the
Yeah.
story.
Yes, I would like to respond. This issue has been the second time we visited this. The first time was in November of 2018, and it was handled at that time by Mr. Ed Loeffler. I don't want to mispronounce his
Yes.
name, but he's a code
Loeffler.
enforcement agent as well.
Yes,
Once he addressed the issue, I came and talked to Justin. He set up a correspondence with Mr. Loeffler and myself, and he addressed the issue. And the language in the code description in and of itself defined a bus as a vehicle for transportation for commercial purposes and transportation of both students, public and private, which my unit did not do. It's a private vehicle. So once he went to the people that he needed to go to, he got back with me and told me that the issue had been handled and that it was resolved and it was going to be dismissed. I said, well, will I get a letter in the mail or something? Sorry. Will I get a letter in the mail or something? He said, no, you won't. I said, well, I need to have something. He said, what you have is my word that you won't hear from this anymore. And apparently, his word had an expiration date on it because we're here. When I got the second notice, it was the exact same form, but it was filed by
Mississippi.
Ed. And it was the exact same notification, violation, and the exact same form. Once I corresponded with him, he said he was going to have to do something because citizens had complained and they had to address it. So they revised the violation with the new case number of the 028. And in that very same article, as the first one, the description of the violation eliminates my unit in and of itself, because it's not a commercial vehicle, because I don't have to have a commercial license to drive it. And in the article underneath, everything that's listed doesn't cover my unit. It's parked on an improved surface. It has a current tag and registration, and it's operational. It's not any of these other items. It's 18 feet approximately long, and it's parked on a driveway of 64 feet. What they came back with and suggested that I park it in the backyard or on the side, that's not even feasible. There's not enough clearance on either side for me to put it there. Even if I improve the surface, my property line doesn't allow me to do it on that side. And what they're suggesting I do on the other side with a driveway or putting it on the side of the house there and putting it in the backyard, that's just as terrible. You know, I mean, whoever the citizens are, and I know this proceeding is not to handle any of that, you ought to be able to face your accuser. Anytime I've ever had a problem with any of my neighbors, I would be able to go to them and say, Ed, I got a problem such and such. Okay, man, I'll address it. Man, I got a problem with this and that. Okay, I'll address it. And that's how you're supposed to handle those. But if you got a citizen's complaint about a unit that's parked in your driveway that does not impede pedestrian traffic, it does not impede motor vehicle traffic in the street, it does not impede people walking recreationally, it does not impede anybody's view, I ought to be able to face that person for them to tell me why they got a problem with my unit parked in my driveway.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Well, Mr.
Thank you for your
So-
time.
Okay. Mr.
I'm going to add one thing here. I went to the city manager about this, and so we changed it from, I mean, if it's an airport shuttle, which kind of looks like an airport shuttle, it's not allowed to be there at all. The city manager said, well, let's pretend it's an RV, and let's say it's an RV, but if it's an RV, then we have to put it behind the front setback, and he could keep it on his property. So if it's an airport shuttle, it has to go completely. If it's an RV, like we're saying, he has to put it behind the front setback, just like any other RV of this size.
What is
Can I
the,
get a chance to respond to that?
what is the main purpose of the vehicle?
Okay.
The vehicle in and of itself, as it's been defined by the codes that the city has set up, it's none of those things. That is a personal vehicle for personal family use, period. Just like your compact car, just like your Suburban, just like your station wagon. If that was the case, all vehicles would be in violation. It's not a shuttle of any kind, it's not an RV, it's not any of that. It's just a personal vehicle.
Well, I mean, you could say a dump truck is a personal vehicle if you drive it daily.
I didn't hear you, sir.
You could say a dump truck is a daily vehicle if you drive it every day back and forth to work, but It's-
You could say that, but I didn't say that. I said a personal vehicle for personal use. And the thing of it is, the size of a dump truck is not covered in this either.
Okay.
To your point, I mean, I know you're not trying to be extreme, but.
48 hours. Sir, let me ask you this, is that vehicle your primary vehicle?
No,
You have a secondary vehicle then?
yes, I do.
Do you use this as a recreational vehicle?
The unit in question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I have.
Do you currently use
I've
it?
also gone to the grocery store in it, to church in it. You know, just like anybody else uses their vehicle.
Can we hear the code?
Yeah, can you
read
put the
back
code
one
up
more
on the
time.
screen
Yeah,
so they can read it? That'd probably be
yeah, I need
easiest,
to visually.
hopefully.
Okay, I just have a question probably for you. With these current lot sizes, is it really physically possible to take this vehicle or any RV to the back? I mean, bigger lots, yes, but with these new, which is approved by the city, is it possible?
It doesn't matter. And then if you can't, then it can't be on the property.
So, okay, here, I am a little confused.
Why don't you put the whole thing so they can see? Because you've got kind of half of it.
With an RV or a boat, it has to be behind the front setback, behind a 6-foot fence.
Okay, totally understand that.
Right.
But with the lot sizes approved by the city, is it physically possible to take the boat or the RV in the back? Because some of the lots, even I live in the subdivision.
Maybe some of the lots are not, but then you can't do it, then it can't be on the property. You have to have it in storage. But
Okay.
most lots in Ocoee are big enough to be able to handle that.
Officer Seacrest, is it the main complaint, because it's visible?
Well, I suppose.
Yes.
It's
Is that what the
complaint,
citizen
anonymous.
complaint was, it was visible?
I would assume.
And that's what the code is. The code says you cannot have an RV.
I guess some of the neighbors don't want to look at it.
Okay.
But regardless, you could call it you could call it commercial, you could call it RV, and you could call it a bus, and either way, it doesn't fly.
Okay.
There are different rules for all of them, but any of them,
Well, I
Okay,
would,
but, excuse me, Mr. Evans, but for
Akins?
all intents and purposes, this is a commercial vehicle.
No.
well, I didn't write it up as that.
We're
That's
treating
not the
we're
violation.
treating it as a recreational vehicle so he can keep it on his property.
Yeah, if we're a commercial vehicle.
If it was a
would
commercial
have to
vehicle,
go.
it could not be there.
Is there
For a
a
bus, it would have
further
to go.
definition of what a recreational vehicle is
not read it.
within the code?
Camping or travel trailers, hauling trailers.
Did you hear that?
Is there a further definition within the code as to what a recreational vehicle is? Well, don't,
Somewhere.
Don't-
Yes,
Don't
but
give me that
It says
response.
He uses it for recreational purposes.
recreational vehicle is a
So
motor home or a boat or any kind of travel that revolves around recreation.
but there's no definition within the municipal code?
Probably
I
in the
mean,
land
I could try to
development code
fi-
definition chapter?
Yeah, because right now, to me, it looks like the city hasn't really met its burden of proof if it's claiming it's a recreational vehicle, but it cannot define what exactly makes a
Even
recreational
though
vehicle.
he admits he uses it for recreational purposes, you're not satisfied with that?
Well, you don't give me the definition of what a recreational vehicle is. That's where the issue is. So define what is a recreational use. Just because he uses the word recreational doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fit into the city's definition
doesn't.
of what
He
a
uses the word
recreational
personal.
vehicle is. Right.
And the city manager is the one who said, let's treat it as a recreational vehicle so it can stay on the property. If it's not a recreational vehicle, if it's a commercial vehicle, it can't be on the property at all. He has to remove it completely. So we're just trying to be nice so he can keep it on the property.
It can just purely be a personal vehicle, or does the city believe that it is being used for commercial purposes?
True.
Well,
Okay.
you're saying the city would like to classify it as a recreational vehicle, and as such, it would be okay for him to park it behind the house.
Correct.
But it is.
But as it stands.
But he doesn't want to do that.
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to find the definition that quickly.
350 makes it over a full ton, so it's too big. We didn't write that up either. Be glad to. If that's what your board wants.
If we bring it back as a commercial vehicle at E350, it's too big to be there and has to be removed completely.
Mr. Atkins, do you have the ability to put that in your backyard and make it invisible?
When you say ability, do you mean to adjust my property to accommodate that?
Whatever steps that you could take to comply with.
Well, that would mean redoing my property. Because as it stands now, the
Could go to a
accommodation-
storage facility.
Excuse me?
It could go to a storage facility.
Your question was to me, and do I have the ability to do it, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's what I'm trying to answer. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from or how
Trying to help
it fits
you.
in.
Okay.
It was just an option at this point, but please, could you finish
Continue.
answering the
Okay,
question?
if that's what you mean, right now, no, because I'm just like everybody else. 2020 has kicked my behind
Sorry.
financially. I have a daughter who's going through life-threatening procedures. We have had to deal long distance with a care problem with my mother-in-law who we lost in Mobile, Alabama in May. I have a son who's a school teacher, and he has a life-threatening condition himself, which is acute colitis, where excessive stress sets him into crisis. The county was able to work it out, where he was able to go back to school and come home and teach. All of those things we've been dealing with. I had to replace my roof because the homeowner's insurance would not renew my insurance until that was done. That was $6,000. The same thing with my air conditioning, it went out. And I know that's neither here nor there to any of these proceedings, but you asked me if I had the ability to do it. And oh yeah, the city of Ocoee found a little piece on my plate where a road went, so let's jug at him about that unit that's parked on his property. Because he has a little more room on his plate where we can dig it out. And that's what I have been having to deal with. So the answer to your question, right now, no.
Let
So
me
telling me
ask.
that I have to do that or move it, I'll have to move it. But just like I said earlier, I ought to be able to face my accuser. What's wrong with my unit as far as you see it and the
Yeah,
reason that you're
answer that.
complaining, why I can't have it there? And I bet you they don't have a good reason.
You can ask the city clerk, you can do a public records request and ask who the accuser was.
Well, I
If we have
did
the
that with the agent, and he told me it was done anonymously.
Yeah,
I
you're
tried
right.
that.
We take anonymous complaints, and I couldn't find it. I checked with the board clerk, and he
Yeah,
couldn't
you
find
told
it
me
either. So I don't know if the city clerk can, I don't know.
Okay. Mr.
I think I might have a definition here of recreational vehicle from the Land Development Code. Recreational vehicle, a vehicle including a park trailer which is built on a single chassis, 400 square feet or less when measured at the largest horizontal projection, designed to be,
You can't speak on the side in the dais.
Sorry.
you can't discuss with each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
400 square feet or less when measured of the largest horizontal projection, designed to be self-propelled or permanently towable by a light-duty truck, and designed primarily not for use as a permanent dwelling, but as a temporary living quarters for recreational camping, travel, or seasonal use. That's what's in the Land Development Code.
Okay, so just to clarify, it is the city's hunch that the vehicle may be used for commercial purposes, and it is instead wanting to,
We aren't sure what it's used for.
Yes, you are, I told you, and I raised my right
Right,
hand.
no,
Mr.
we don't care,
Atkins.
we don't care what it's used for, but we're considering it a recreational vehicle, so it can stay on the property.
No, the city is
We don't
not,
know what it's used for.
city is not considering it a commercial vehicle at this time. That's not what was written up.
Mr. Atkins, may I ask, I mean, I understand your position, and, but we are not a court of law. So we're just an, administrative body?
I can hardly hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
But you're quasi-judicial. You're quasi-judicial, you're an administrative board.
Oh, okay. Yes, what I was saying, we certainly understand your position. However, we are not a court of law. We are an administrative body. The person who called in, it's evident that this isn't going to go away because you have homeowners calling in a complaint. So it needs to be resolved, one way or the other. I understand from what you're saying, you thought it was resolved, but now it has come up again. My question to you is, how long would it take for you to be able to design it so you can get it in the back of your property?
The option that I would take would be to move the vehicle, because to readjust my property, resources are not available for that.
Okay.
I would have to put a driveway in the back,
Okay.
because just like it's been stated, I have a corner lot, and the fence on the south side and the property line on the north side will not allow that to occur on the side of the house. So I would have to redesign that area, period.
So it's not feasible at this time?
Right.
Okay. Are there any other questions
So-
for?
I have one other question for you, Mr. Atkins. And I know, and I'm sorry for the issues that you've been having to deal with in 2020. We've all been affected, so. The other side of your property next to your neighbor's side, I mean, I can't see it in the picture, but the house next to you, the
That's
prop.
north side.
Okay. Is there any way of being able to park it back behind your house at that point?
Right where the bush is?
Yes, sir.
That's actually the property line.
Wow.
Where the bush is right there. And my yard man and her yard man, when they go down that side, each one impedes the other's area to cut their side. So on that side, it's not feasible to go that way, because the property lines don't permit it, period. My property line will not allow me to improve that side to where I can go down the side of the house and put a fence up to park it on that side. I don't have enough clearance on that side.
Right.
On the other side, I would have to totally redo it, because where you see that big old bush right there on the side, that's actually in front of my door. And it's a bunch of shrub foliage in front of the living room window and that side of the house. So, you know, just like I say, that's a 64-foot driveway. And I would have to put a driveway that far on the side of the house the same way.
Is
And
it,
An extensive driveway.
Mr. Atkins, I have a question also. Is this the footprint of your house is the original footprint, or you added something at some later stage to your house?
Did I do what, sir?
I said, your house, the way it sits right now, is it the originally approved by the city, or you added something on the side of the house?
No, that's the way the house was the very first time we saw it. Just like it is now. I've done nothing to it but live in it, take care of it.
Sir, Mr. Atkins, do you have a garage? You can't put it in the garage?
What about the garage?
I was wondering if it could go into the garage.
No, you're looking at it right now. The
That's
view
not
that you
gonna
see now, it extends over the garage. So I couldn't put it in the garage.
Okay. But you did state that it's not the only vehicle that you have.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I think this issue points out to a bigger issue about the size of the frontage of these lots approved by the city. So I don't think there is any solution the way he described it without getting a joint use agreement from the neighbor, and then he has the ability to go back, or like the officer said, get a rental place to park this vehicle. The vehicle is allowed, right? The vehicle, there is no issue with the vehicle, it's just the parking, correct?
48 hours it's allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So, I think, this is something the city, we need, needs to get into and see, is this the only location where we have it, or there are other locations, and it just so happened they don't come to the board yet? So I'm really puzzled, you know.
Okay.
At one point, I know the code is there, at the second, I don't see a solution, you know, without telling the citizen, go and park it some other place.
Well, just so you know, I mean, there's plenty of jurisdictions that wouldn't allow this at all. There's some that even if you're a yard guy with a little yard trailer, you can't keep it on your lot at all in other jurisdictions. So that's not uncommon. But it sounds like Ocoee is a little pretty lenient with regard to these type of vehicles or other vehicles and trailers and that thing compared to a lot of other jurisdictions, just FYI.
Yes.
I have one other question for Mr. Atkins. Sir, how long have you owned that vehicle?
Since 2009.
So, okay,
And-
11
And we
years.
moved there in 2009. The very first time this issue ever came up was after 8 years. Nobody said anything. All of a sudden, it's an issue about me parking it there. The very first time I saw that house, we came in that unit with the realtor, because the realtor is one of my daughter's best friends, and her son and my youngest grandson at the time attended school at the Central Florida, First Baptist at Central Florida. And that's when I first saw the house, and we came down there and saw the house in that. And we closed on the house, and the very first night in the house, we came in that unit. But
Counsel.
2009 was when I bought that unit there. And when we moved out here partly in that unit.
Counselor, I have a quick question. Do we have any idea when this rule was put into play? Is it, my question is it something that he could be grandfathered in?
No.
No? I'm just posing a question.
No, the land development code was developed in the 90s.
Oh,
Right,
It
yeah.
may have been amended from time to time, but no, typically these are not the kind of things, unless it's put in as part of the enabling. Like I
Yeah.
know one jurisdiction, when they outlawed, or they revised things to prevent any boats, trailers, RVs on any property, they did give people a 30-day window to apply for,
an exemption?
an exemption.
Yeah.
It had been there.
I see.
But after that
30-day period.
was gone, but that was, 10 years ago when they adopted it there.
Sure,
It's a
sure.
different jurisdiction. So it sort of depends on the situation. It sounds like this has been in place for years.
I understand.
The vehicle is not used for the purpose of temporary living quarters, is it?
I didn't hear the question.
Do you use the vehicle for temporary living purposes?
Temporary living purposes?
Yeah.
Living,
Living in the vehicle?
Inside the vehicle?
Yes.
Camping,
No, sir.
such
Use
on?
it for
No, sir,
camping?
that's a 5-3 there. There's nobody officially there but my wife and I. They come and go, and we have to throw them out. But no,
No.
it's only 2 of us officially living in the
Yeah, he
house.
d-
no,
yeah,
no,
he
in the
don't-
vehicle.
In the vehicle.
No, I said no, and I was explaining why. But no, I don't live it, no.
So I don't think it meets the city's definition of what a recreational vehicle is, and if it wants to cite a different code, it can, but I would not support this.
He
citation.
can't hear you without speaking in the microphone.
Oh, yeah, I don't believe that, based on the city's definition, which comes from state statute of what a recreational vehicle is, that this one would meet it. And that's essentially what the entire case seems to hinge on, is by defining this vehicle as a recreational vehicle.
Well, it's
Well-
actually violating the off-street parking requirements.
Right, it's not,
So if it's not a recreational, the question is it a commercial? So, or is it neither? And is it, so it's not violating any off-street parking standards? That's what you all get to decide.
wait a minute, repeat that last one again?
Well, the off-street parking requirements are, prohibition of commercial
Right.
vehicles and trailers.
Right,
But you can keep a camping, hauling, recreational vehicle, boats, those type of vehicles,
and then he has to. follow
48 hours in
48.
your driveway or behind the front line of the house with appropriate screening if it's not more than 36 feet.
Right.
So is it regular vehicle, which isn't covered under this off-street parking requirements, commercial or recreational type vehicles? If it's not a regular vehicle, is it commercial or is it RV type recreational? If it is, if you find that it's either a commercial or recreational, it's got to be moved from where it is, and you can give time if you think it's
Is your question?
either way.
No.
So if you think it's a commercial, it's time to just remove it completely. If you think it's recreational, it's time to remove it completely or get it
Right.
behind the front line of the house.
And it would be
But
meeting the definition of what a commercial vehicle is, not that the vehicle is used for
Commercial.
commercial purposes,
Right,
correct?
correct.
Right.
Right. Yeah, no, that typically, doesn't play into it necessarily.
Commercial vehicle is a 1-ton rated capacity, which it is.
So we cannot classify it, though. The question then becomes, can we classify it as a personal vehicle? Because if I'm understanding Member Stewart, he's ruling out that it's an RV. But I'm also understanding the city's position in designating it a recreational vehicle so that you can keep it at your home, but under the 48-hour rule.
Yeah, the officer just testified it's over 1 ton,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Which puts it within the commercial vehicle definition.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Mr. Atkins, what
Shouldn't be
happened
that
recently that makes your neighbor file a complaint? Like you said, this vehicle has been parked there and being used since 2009. So what happened recently? Is there something which we are missing here?
Was my neighbors
No.
and myself?
I don't believe that's,
No, just somebody decided they got tired of looking at it.
Are allowed to.
Yeah, and what
I-
y'all need to decide is it in violation or not?
I mean,
Or Is it in
did,
violation of commercial, or is it in violation, but you agree that the city's trying to find a solution on this one, so you're
That's
gonna
all
find
I'm
it
saying.
so recreational and put it behind the house?
Right.
Those are,
Right.
that's what you guys need to decide.
Yes.
See, that's the
Okay.
thing which I personally try to stay away between the two neighbors. I know there is a legal, legal issue here also, but it's just, it's nothing, something is not happened last week, last month,
Yeah,
it's been there.
it doesn't matter.
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Right.
It may be that it's somebody that just moved in the neighborhood.
I give the analogy this way. You can speed 100 miles an hour every day on I-4 for 10 years, but one day you're going to get caught. We have to follow through if we get a citizen complaint.
Yes. And I mean, and that's why we're here.
No,
You're Doug Gaines,
Mr.
right?
Correct.
And you told me if the proceedings were to move forward and I was successful, you would just change it. So you're gonna keep on changing it as often as they complain? or
Nope,
what?
we're going to find out tonight.
Okay.
Oh, so it is possible that you will change it again?
Mr. Atkins?
No.
Okay, 'cause that's what you told me, you know. you get a
Mr.
bunch of-
Atkins, basically what this comes down to, I mean, you live in a community, it's a community of homeowners, and someone is filing a complaint. That's what I meant earlier when I said this probably will not go away. Someone will file a complaint again. And code enforcement, I mean, the city has to act on
I
it.
understand that part.
So tonight, we're looking for ways, we understand your position, and particularly now with this COVID and all of that. However, we need to decide something. And I think at this point, I mean, we have had enough discussion.
one more question. What is the exact rated tonnage of the vehicle?
What is the what rated tonnage?
That one's an E350, so I'm not quite sure what that is, but it's definitely over 1.5 tons.
Okay, so it's over the ton and a half, which would
Correct.
be the exemption under
Well-
6A.
Actually, a Ford F-350 is actually classified as a one-ton truck. And like Officer Seacrest said, it is considered at 1 ton being a commercial vehicle. The issue that I'm having with it is that people can have a 1-ton vehicle but not use it for commercial purposes. They can use it for personal reasons as well. So just by definition, just because it's a 1-ton commercial vehicle doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a personal vehicle at the same time. You know, the outside structure of this would lend it to be, I mean, it was used as a commercial vehicle at some point, but you're repurposing it for your personal use. So I think that's where we're having a struggle here, you know. I don't know how to kick this can down the road for you, you know. If you have a place that you can store it
The
or
problem-
meet the requirements of moving it every 48 hours, you know, we're kind of tied within our regulations that we have to vote within.
And I understand that part, and that's where my appeal comes in at, because the language provided in the violation itself does not cover my unit either time, now or before.
So, the question before the board would be dependent on whether or not it meets one of the exemptions. And the one we're looking at is that it can be exempted if we define it as a recreational vehicle. Otherwise, it would just fall under
Commercial.
Section 6, which says, commercial vehicles and trailers of all types, including travel, camping, and hauling, and mobile homes shall not be parked or stored on any lot occupied by a dwelling or in any resident district, and then it says, except for the following. So if it doesn't hit one of those options, then it just can't be there at all.
Yeah.
So we've decided, well, we've discussed it being overweight to where it can't be subsection A. Subsection C is for disabled vehicles. So it really comes down
To
to
B.
whether or not it fits the definition of a recreational vehicle. So, yes, I would agree that we've had enough discussion and we can put it to
Yes.
a vote.
Okay, well, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that in case 2020-02028, that the respondent be found in violation for the code as cited, what does it say, September 15th, 14th,
2020.
2020, and we're going to be a little lenient on this and give you some time to get it out of there. I'm going to give you until January 1st, 2021 to come into compliance or be fined $15 per day for the violation.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Okay. All righty, I have a motion before the board in case number 2020-02028, made by member Bamber and seconded by Strufter. Member Strufter, did I get it right? Struffer, okay. That the respondent be given until January 1st, 2021, to come into compliance or be fined $15 per day until he comes into compliance. Is there any discussion? Okay, with that, I will take a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Aye.
Nay.
Roll call.
call.
Take one then.
He's getting it.
Okay.
All right, this is a roll call vote, so please say your answer when I call your name. Member Odom,
Aye.
Member Lewis,
Nay.
Member Mirza,
Nay.
Member Bandor,
Aye.
Member, he's not here, Member Stewart,
Nay.
and Member Schropa.
Aye.
The vote is 3-3, so motion fails.
Anybody else have a motion?
Is there any way that we can have a motion to dismiss?
If you want to dismiss it, you do a motion. In case number 2020, state the number. I move to dismiss the case.
All right. Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move in regard to case 2020-02028.
Can you
That-
speak up, please?
I move that in case number 2020-02028, that the case be dismissed.
I second.
Did you want to add a reasoning to that for the minutes? You don't
Yeah,
have
for
to.
the minutes, the city did not meet its burden of proof on its citation, and that the vehicle does not fit the definition of recreational.
Okay, and case number 2020-02028. I have a motion before the board made by Member Stewart and seconded by Members Mirza, that the case be dismissed because
We'll just dismiss.
Just dismiss.
that the case be dismissed. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed?
Abstain.
you
You-
cannot
You
abstain.
can't.
Can't abstain on that?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
then nay.
Okay.
All right.
Roll call.
Member Odom,
Okay, nay.
Member Lewis,
Aye.
Member Mirza,
Aye.
Member Bandor,
Nay.
Member Stewart,
Aye.
Member Schropa. Motion is tied again. It fails.
Okay.
So back to discussion, I assume.
Okay.
I blame you.
Alrighty. You know,
Okay.
the thing,
You said it.
Madam Chair.
the thing with this case is that,
Madam Chair, if I may, I think the reason why we are having this discrepancy or difference of opinion is because city code is saying one thing, but the city action which created these lots is not in compliance or is not in line with what the city requirement is. I live in a pretty newer neighborhood. If this condition is put on me, there is no way I can take any vehicle from the side without getting an easement from my neighbor to the back. So either city don't approve these kind of lots which create this issue, or they have to go back and look at the code requirement. This way we don't have this kind of a debate.
If you can't put it on the side of the house, then it has to be removed from the property. Not all lot sizes are going to be big enough to handle this. You're correct.
that's right.
Okay, then there has to be some consideration as to, as to how to get to a resolution, because it's not fair in my mind to tell a resident or a tenant, you cannot park. If this was a third or second vehicle, I can see it. But if there is one vehicle like this, and I cannot park in my own driveway because the situation is created by some decision made long time ago or because of the code, and so that's why I really honestly cannot support anything like this. Not just this one, anything if comes like this one, I cannot support it.
Well, as I hear, as a homeowner, we all have a choice. I mean, if you do not want to support an ordinance like that that's in place, these are some of the things you should be looking at prior to buying a home, because they are in place. There's no excuse for you to buy a property, move into it, and then be outraged by the laws that was in place. You had an obligation to find out about that. The people who are complaining, who's making the charge, whereas I sympathize, with the respondent, I also sympathize with the homeowners. In all likelihood, the person that's called, it may be somebody who's trying to sell their home. Usually the whole purpose of ordinance and HOAs and all of that is so that you can keep property in a certain price range. This may be impacting a seller's, buyers coming by and seeing that and saying, ugh, for whatever reason.
No, I understand.
No, but we as a board, what we just did with Mr. Atkins, we're trying to find a solution here. And I understand why they classified it as a recreational vehicle. That was for the sole purpose of trying to get him to be able to keep it on his property. But the law is the law.
No, I understand it was the concept of due diligence when you're buying a house, but on the same token, if you go and look at the Ocoee Winter Garden, whether it's a newer lot or older lot like this, it's approved by an agency without consideration of their own laws.
Real quick, I have a question for the city. If the city wanted to amend its citation, is that a whole new case in
Yes.
its entirety?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what I would say then is the board should once again take my motion under consideration to dismiss and give the city the opportunity to come back with a new citation citing the appropriate code. Because
what do you want to call that, by the
It's
way?
been done.
my concern is if we call this a recreational vehicle for the
You're not
purpose.
going to do that, so now what are your other options?
Yeah,
Commercial.
I'm speaking, please do not interrupt while I'm trying to convey to the board what my thoughts are here. So it's either, that we also may be setting an improper precedent if we decide to classify this one as a recreational vehicle, knowing fully that it doesn't really meet that definition in order to try to permit this one resident to maintain the vehicle, then it will tie our hands in the future and open ourselves up to claims of being inconsistent. So with, I guess, Counselor, in your experience, whenever there is an argument, or if it does go to a court of law, is there a negative connotation to not having a consistent application of the code?
There can be. These cases, you're quasi-judicial, so you
Right.
decide all the decisions based on the evidence of that particular case.
Right.
So you're not technically setting any precedent depending on the issues. But if it's similar fact pattern, similar situation, then yeah, you can be inconsistent. And you notice those kind of things.
And it could it
So-
open up an individual resident to use that as a claim in an appeal?
If they
and-
want to,
and
but
essentially-
you don't, yes.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion.
Okay.
In case number 2020-02028, I move that this be dismissed.
Second.
Okay, did you want to state a reason?
No, I think we've had enough discussion on this already.
Okay. And case number 202.
Was there a second? Yes.
Yes, Member Stewart.
Okay. Case number 2020-20028. We have a motion before the board made by Member Bamber and second by Member Stewart that this case be dismissed. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Oh, that's my pen, hold on. Okay. Member Odom.
Aye.
Member Lewis.
Aye.
Member Bandor.
Aye.
Member Mirza.
Yes.
Member Stewart.
Aye.
And Member Stropa. Motion passes.
Okay. Okay. Motion passes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Atkins. You can see Mr. Judge Williams over there. The clerk.
I didn't understand.
They dismissed your case, sir.
Your case has been
Okay,
dismissed.
will I be getting something in the mail?
Yes, you'll get an order in the mail.
Okay, I appreciate all of your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good night.
You as well. Good night, everyone. Stay safe.
Good night. Stay safe. Okay. All right, and with that, the next case to come before the board is case number 2020-01820, presented by Officer Loeffler.
Officer Loeffler is not present. That case is not in compliance, so it's order imposing fine, please.
Okay, then. Okay. So
That's it. Trying to find
Okay, well,
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion
okay.
in regards to case number 2020-01820. I move that the board impose fines as of, was it October 7th? 8th, sorry, that's right, one day. October 8th, 2020, as previously set by this board.
Second.
Okay. Okay, in case number 2020-01820, we have a motion made by Member Bamber and seconded by Member Moser that the board impose fines as previously set by the board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next case before the board is case number 2020-01879, being presented by, again, Officer Segrets.
That case is also not in compliance, so order imposing fine, please.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that in case 2020-01879, the board imposes fines as of October 8th, 2020, in the amount previously set by this board.
Second.
Okay, in case number 2020-01879, we have a motion made by Member Stewart and seconded by Member Bander that the case, that the board impose fines as previously set by this board. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next case to come before the board is case number 2020-01904, to be presented by Officer Rodriguez.
This is Officer Rodriguez's case, and that is in compliance. No further action.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. All righty. Okay, and the last case to come before the board is case number 2020-01953, to be presented by Officer Segrist.
2961 Foxtail, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes.
That's in compliance. There's an affidavit on file.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, alrighty. Okay, well, that concludes the cases for today. Okay. Okay. The next order of business will be the election of our vice chair. Okay.
What's the protocol?
Any nominations? We
Yes.
did the chair last month, so
And
does anyone have a nomination for vice chair? I'm sorry. Does anyone have a nomination for vice chair?
Can you nominate yourself?
Do you want?
yes,
I'd be interested in vice chair.
okay.
Mr. Lewis has nominated Mr. Lewis.
Second.
Can you say,
Okay, are there any other nominations? Okay. Well,
I'll throw my hat in the ring on this one. All right, yes, I nominate myself.
okay.
It's the self-nomination committee.
Okay.
So now, Counselor, what do we do?
I would like to nominate myself as well.
Okay.
Okay, do y'all have pieces of paper? Steph?
Mhm.
We can make paper.
Will that work?
Give everybody a piece of paper and have them write their choices, rank 1, 2, 3. And we'll see whoever gets the most ones. Hopefully we'll not be 3 and 3 split.
So, one is
But the way this
Lewis,
is going, there will be.
Are you just gonna put what
Yes.
name you want?
two is Ben.
Yeah, just put one name, I guess.
That's easier to
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
calculate, right?
Well, I can see who's won one, but hopefully we'll have an answer, and if not, then we'll figure out a different way. Justin will walk around and pick them up, and it's all right. You want to calculate, or you want me to calculate?
so we have 3 candidates?
Correct.
Can we hire
Then we have
PricewaterhouseCoopers?
Vander, Stewart, Lewis. Lewis, Vander, Stewart, in that order specifically for the self-nominating process. But thank you. All right, so what we got?
Well, I thought it was gonna be a tie tonight. It would just make
Nope.
sense.
I know, I thought we'd have a 3-3 tie, but we don't. Mr. Vander, congratulations.
Oh.
You received 3 votes.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
And these are public record that I will leave here for Justin to pick up.
Well, I appreciate your faith in being vice chair, so I'll try to execute and do a good job. Thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll now have final comments.
Oh,
Are we?
We have
The
one more
November
discussion
meeting?
about the November meeting,
It's under
Okay.
comments.
which falls on November 24th, which is Thanksgiving week. We just want to make sure we would have quorum, or if you would want to have that on Thanksgiving week. Keeping in mind that we do not have a December meeting either, because that falls on Christmas Eve.
Well, Mr. Gaines, what are you suggesting?
I'm trying to see if you guys would like to have a board meeting on Thanksgiving week, which is the 24th. We just want to make sure we have quorum.
As long as you're buying the turkey.
I've already blocked off my schedule to make sure I could make it.
I'm fine.
That's two. Who else? Any?
Yes, we're looking for 4 confirmed yeses.
Everybody else?
I
I'll
can't
be,
give
uh,
I can't give a definite firm on that one.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes, I'll be here.
Chair?
I can make,
So we have 4,
Okay, meeting will hold.
and maybe 5.
okay. Mhm. Okay.
And I don't know if we want to officially say that we're going to not have the December, 24th meeting.
Right.
Do you
Thank
want
you.
to meet on Christmas Eve?
No,
Negative.
There you go.
No, we can
There
make
you go.
that official now.
This board had a Christmas Eve meeting, I don't know. at
We
least
normally
20,
don't
25
do
years.
December anyway.
That's not going to.
Well, not December, it's not always Christmas.
Do we have to make an official motion?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that concludes our meeting for tonight. Now we will just have our final comments, starting with Justin.
No comment?
No comment.
Again, I just want to say thank you for the vote of confidence. I'll do my best.
Okay, Mr. Bender, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I do like to take a few minutes to discuss this issue based on the discussion and the voting we have today. I think those kind of issues point out to a bigger issue, that the discrepancies and the intent of the law. So I would suggest, the proper city officials to look into these kind of things where there is an obvious discrepancy or disconnect between the one part of the, city codes and the other part. And this issue is indicative of that kind of discrepancy to me. Otherwise, it should not be this lengthy discussion, but something for the city officials to look into and trying to see if there are areas which needs to be cleaned. And I am firm believer there is always a chance to improve, so something for the staff or city or another city attorney or to look into these kind of issues.
Okay. Member Straker?
I have no comments.
Okay, Member Stewart?
I would just want it entered into the record that there, anyone who presents anything from either side before the board should just exercise proper decorum and, restrain themselves from speaking unless recognized formally by the chair. And that is all I have.
Duly noted.
No.
Nothing for me, interesting night.
Okay. Joe?
The longest one case night ever.
I know.
Well, we got through the other ones quick.
Happy Halloween.
Well, I'm glad that, again, congratulations, Member Downer. And thank you all who threw their hat in the ring. One thing I would say to Member Stewart, we have always been, a little laid back. I remember when you first, when I first met you, one of the things you said was, Robert rules. And I thought, wow, that's great. Me, I've been trying to unlearn them for the last 5 years or so. But, no disrespect was intended, I'm sure, by anyone. And if you find that, I'm not doing what I need to do, just let me know. And I'll,
And just to clarify on that, that comment was not directed towards the actual membership of the board or anyone at all. I was just being nice by not indicating to who it was directed to. But yeah, that is nothing against you at all.
Okay, great. All righty. Well, with that, if there's no more comments, adjourned.